Hello, everyone. Once again, I just want to welcome you guys again, and then we'll be going into the program. It is the 12th of November, and we are having our Nurses Empowerment Seminar. This is a program brought to you by Decency and Class Academy Limited, and we are doing this to bring information that are hard to find to your doorstep, to your phone, to your desktop, to anything that you're using to listen to us today. I wish and I hope that everybody listening to us is, is good, is feeling good and feeling all right wherever you are. I just want you to stay safe and then be in the best position that you can get reception so that we can all listen to our presenter and get information that she has prepared to share with us today. All right, so first, I'm going to let us know one thing. There's something that I want to share with you guys. And, every time that we have this program, I always come up with a quote. And the quote for today is, the reason most people never reach their goal is that they don't define them. They do not define their goals or even seriously consider them as believable. So you might have a goal, but you're not defining it. You're not considering it as believable or even achievable. Winners can tell you where they are going to, what they plan to do along the way, and who they will be sharing who they will be sharing the adventure with them. So winners will always have some plan. Some people say if you don't have a plan, then you have planned to fail. So this is one of the things that I call planning for those of you that are still in Nigeria planning to come over to the United States. For those of you that are in the United States already, it's never too late to start planning. It's never too late to start organizing yourself, start positioning yourself for the way that the whole economy is going. You really need to be aware of what is happening around you. And this is one of the programs that has a financial undertone to it. So it's not like we're bringing just information about academics. This is an information that is going to help you to position yourself financially in this our real world today. So I just want to encourage you guys today. This quote is actually from Dennis Wheatley. And I want to encourage everyone, if you're planning on something, if you're doing something, if you're already working on something, make sure you define it, make sure you have it seriously, you have considered it as believable and achievable seriously in your heart, and make sure that you're doing all it takes to achieve that very particular goal that you want to achieve. So I will like to bring our presenter today. Her name is Modupe. Modupe is, we call her Dupsy. So Modupe is going to be our presenter today, and she's one of our Nigerian nurses who immigrated to the United States, and she's doing exploits. And Modupe has actually, advanced her career to the level of gaining a master's degree. And not only that, she got a master's degree in one of the very, very hard to go into, what I call it, specialties, that's nursing informatics. And this is the area that people are actually, they don't know much, or they don't little about what's happening in that field. So Modupe will be telling us opportunities that abound in this nursing informatics career, and also she'll be telling us the prospects of this very particular specialty in nursing here in the US. She will also give us real life experiences, what she has really experienced, having done this very particular course here in the US. And I believe I told her that we're going to be asking her some very hard, difficult questions, which is going to be like, how much do you earn? Because I know the major motivator and one of the things that we do in life is how much are we going to get out of it? And Modupe is willing to share in all sincerity everything that concerns, nursing informatics. And also, Modupe is also one of my colleagues. She's a perioperative nurse here in the United States. And then, like the person we had last, she actually left perioperative nursing and went into the nursing informatics here in the US. So I would like to bring on board Modupe to come and share with us. First of all, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and then she's going to share her screen and then introduce herself. Modupe, are you here with us, please?
Yes. Thank you very much, everyone. I am so glad to be here. I'm glad for this opportunity that Defense has granted me to be able to share my knowledge and experience. Really, I love to share a lot because here in the US, I mean, everywhere, information is very vital. And we miss out on a lot of opportunities for not having the right information. So there's a particular group that I belong to here, EAG. It's a mutual group that myself and Defense belong to. A lot of information that we get on that group has been very helpful, such that people that are here in the US, they don't even know about it. Like, I have a sister here, for instance, she doesn't know a lot of information that I'm privy of. So consider this opportunity a very vital one to be able to get information. Because a lot of times we are not able to make decisions because we don't have the information, or we make the wrong decision because we don't have full information. So I'm glad to be here today to share my experience with people, and I'm also glad because even it's going to reach more people, more than the people that are actually here this evening. But the opportunity you have here is that you can actually ask your questions and get them answered. And I mean, you can always follow up. I love to share. So I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so, so much, Modupe. I'm really very excited. When I see Nigerian nurses that are doing exploits here in the US, I'm so, so excited. And then I feel like more excited that you are able to, accept to share your experience with other nurses. There is this very particular saying in Nigeria, they will be like, well, village people are going to find what you're doing. They would, try to, but I don't believe in all that because, when we started, letting people know the routes to come into the United States, it wasn't for them to come and take our spots. There are several spots. The US is so large. Opportunities here are too many. Nobody can take anybody's spots. And I just want to encourage all our listeners, if you feel like you're doing something great that you need us to let people know about, just let me know in any of my social media handles or my email, and then I will bring you on and we'll share that very information with everyone. Just like today, like she said, Modupe is one of us. She's a Nigerian trained registered nurse. She actually immigrated to the United States from Nigeria, and then she has come here. Not just that she came here, she started breaking grounds immediately. She went through her program successfully and graduated from her program, and actually went into a program that had little or no information about. Like she said, I remember in that very particular EAG, I think she's the first person to venture into this very particular nursing informatics specialty. So you see somebody going into a new area, no guidance, but the person is still willing to be able to bring all the experiences that she had throughout her training in that very particular area to you. So you can't see this in any book. You cannot see it in any book anywhere. So you can't see it in Amazon. You cannot buy it anywhere. So this is one of the things that I believe that is priceless. We are bringing it to you free of charge. So please, and please, and please, she's gonna share her screen with us now and go through the program. Let your friends know. They can come in and ask their questions. Let them know that we are already started on the program, and then Modupe will finish her presentation and we'll ask Modupe some questions. Okay, so thank you all and for coming and for listening. And I also want to say, if you are here, please kindly just use the mute button and make make every other person in the program comfortable, because we want to be able to hear the presentation as you go on. Okay, thank you so much. And then I'm going to be handing over to Modupe Adefi Hinti, and she's a registered nurse. She's a registered nurse in Nigeria, registered nurse in UK, registered nurse in the US. She's has masters in nursing informatics and also a certified nurse operating in operating room. So Modupe, it's over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Before I start, I will give a little bit of background about myself. Defense here, I've said a lot. Um, I am a Adefe. I'm popularly known as Gypsy Candy.
Mhm.
So, well, I grew up in Ado-Ekiti, Nigeria. I attended Lautech. I studied nursing in Lautech. We're part of the third step. So I actually went to Lautech to study medicine. So I did my pre-degree program, and I had high scores, so I had high hopes that I was gonna get into medicine. But you know how it goes in Nigeria. I wasn't from Oyo State or from Osun State. So anyway, I got into chemistry in my 100 level. But in Lautech, you can actually switch courses in 200 level. So my parents still wanted me to do medicine. They were trying to network and get people to help. But I actually met my husband, then boyfriend, in Lautech. And he was like, don't you think you should go for nursing? He's like, nursing is lucrative and all of that, but you know how people view nursing. So I was like, okay, let me give it a shot. Meanwhile, when I had a break between my pre-degree and 100 level, my dad actually opened a cyber cafe. So I'm sure some of you will know what a cyber cafe is, but maybe some generations may not know. So it's actually where you go and buy some minutes or hours, and then you browse on the computer and you can check your emails, you can chat. So my dad opened one, and we had like 8 months or so between pre-degree and 100 level. So I was actually helping my dad in that business. I would get there as early as 7, leave at 5 p.m. or late in the night. I was really committed to it. So that was when my interest for computers grew. I liked how I would help people and they'd be like, oh, this system is slow and we'll keep refreshing. And then I would help people to type their projects. That was when I got my typing skills, even though I'm not an expert, but I was able to do all of those things at that time. So back to when I was trying to cross to nursing, deep inside of me, I wanted to go for maybe computer science and engineering. But I was like, how am I gonna say it? Like my parents want me to do medicine, boyfriend is saying, okay, try nursing. So I gave it a shot, and that was when I actually found out that there was an specialty in nursing that is nursing informatics. So deep down in me, I was like, okay, I can actually combine computer science and nursing. And I told my friends then, because when I got this job, I told my friend, she was like, Mo, that you actually went for this dream. You've been saying this since 200 level. And that was in 2005. So, that's one beautiful thing about America. This is where dreams come true, my people. This is where dreams come true. I mean, you can always follow your dream. You're not too late, you're not too early. You can follow your dream and get it achieved. So, I got into nursing and, I was like, how am I going to do it? There's no informatics in Nigeria. I was trying a lot to get my hands on informatics. I tried some schools in Canada before I actually immigrated to United Kingdom, nursing. And here I got to US in October 2019. I started work in December. And then I found out people were going to GCU. So I've always been a loner in a way that, okay, when I was going to write my NCLEX, I was the only one. And people had already, people had partners that go together to go do NCLEX. So I was the only one. And then informatics, I was the only one. I had no guidance. I was just like, some of you were with, I would say, last week. She's a very good friend of mine. So she was doing her BS University, Phoenix, Arizona here at that time. And then she was like, okay, maybe I should try the master. So I applied and everything. So it cut short. I started work in December. My husband was like, maybe to give it some time, but I was ready to plunge into it. I started my course in January of 2020. I completed my course in December of 2021, and I landed a job. While I was doing that course, and another thing about US is you have to network. I mentioned information earlier on, you have to network. It's kind of like the same thing in Nigeria where you say, oh, you have to know someone to know someone. But here it is organized networking, organized lobbying. You cannot just say, oh, you want to go and get a job, or, you have to network. So I got into a lot of groups, and another thing is when you're on this journey, you're gonna see a lot of people that will discourage you, even your close allies, information that you see. And when I was doing that course, I would read on that group, people would be like, oh, I finished my MSN in informatics, I haven't gotten a job. I mean, I kept complaining to people around me. My sister was like, your case is different, you're gonna get a job. And as soon as I finished my course, I got the job. So I've been in this job for 10 months now, and it has really been exciting. So if you don't have the passion to do this, it's gonna be a little bit tough. Because I thought it was just like, okay, you go and find something. It requires your passion, one, it requires high intellectual. You're designing things that people are gonna be working with. You cannot afford to mess it up. So I thought it would just be like, okay, when nurses want to chart vital signs, they can just put in vital signs. But there's a lot of things that pertain to informatics. So while I go on with my presentation, I'll be able to explain more and share my experience. So I titled this Nursing Informatics Career in the USA, and essentially as introduced me. Family-wise, I am married. I have 3 children. I have a 9-year-old girl, a 6-year-old boy, and a 1-year-old dog. So go on with the slide. So it says, what is nursing informatics? This was the first information I got in as far back as 2005. Apparently, the specialty, I mean, just started budding, in maybe 2001 when American Nurses Association was able to put a definition to it. So they defined this specialty as one that integrates nursing science with multiple information and analytical sciences. So a lot of information is coming. So when you're here working in the US, we use electronic health records. Most hospitals in Nigeria still use paper, but in one way or the other, we're still using that information. Like when patients go to take X-ray, I mean, as little as typing on a computer, as little as sending messages on the phone, as little as calling a physician or calling your colleague, as little as saying, okay, we're transferring this patient to your ward or floor. So those are information that informatics deals with. So we also talk about analytical sciences. So we don't just want this information to sit there. Like you are a nurse, for instance, your patient's blood pressure is high. You're not just gonna say, okay, now I know the blood pressure. You have to really analyze, okay, is this blood pressure low? Is it high? Is it normal? So those are the basic things that analytics does. So in advanced level, we have a lot of information which we also use for which we also analyze and integrate.
Yeah,
So
Dipsy.
yeah.
Yeah, sorry to stop you, but some of us are complaining that they are not hearing you very well. I think there is a kind of echo coming on from your side. I've tried to mute myself. I thought it was coming from me, but it wasn't my side. So is there anything you can do from your side so we can hear you very well?
Try to change to my, I'm using a speaker,
Yeah, I think that's the reason.
change to my device.
Yeah, to be better. So guys, thank you for following and for listening. I like the fact that she was able to connect her past to her present. It's always good to do that. When you connect your past to your present, you're able to find, the roots, and then, define and also understand why she actually went into this. And then we will now find out if we can we that may not have a past in nursing informatics might, start having like a history with nursing informatics today. And then by the time she's done, we can start connecting the dots and then, be able to, transform those dots into a palpable quality or a specialty that we can use to better our life in the future. So are you ready for us?
Okay, so is this better?
Yes, I think it's better now.
Okay, so I changed to my device. Hopefully it's better. But feel free to let me know if at any point, because I want everybody to gain from what I'm saying. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so I was talking about information and analysis. So informatics also helps to identify, you want to find out what is happening. Like I use very simple information about blood pressure. You want to find out that blood pressure, at the same time you want to define it. Okay, so is this normal? We have ranges that walk through. You want to manage it. I mean, if it's slow, you make it normal. If it's normal, you maintain it. And at the same time, you want to communicate. So a lot of things that we do, we want to communicate when we're putting in those charts, when we're writing our report for the day, we're communicating that data. We're communicating. So we have data, we have information, we have knowledge, and we have wisdom. So data is what the figures come in, right? And information is what are those figures telling you. So knowledge is now, okay, so how do I apply this information? What am I getting from this information? What is it telling me? And wisdom is, of course, your critical thinking, your decision, what you're going to do about that wisdom, that information that you got. So pretty simple thing. This is basic to nursing, but this is what the nursing informatics based on. Okay, so I'm going to continue. So how do you become a nurse informatics? This is very dicey. So I mentioned earlier that I belong to a group, nursing informatics group is on Facebook. If you want to have information as well, you can always join the group. I mean, we want to use social media to really benefit us, not just going to check people's pictures. We want to maximize effect to help our lives to progress. So that have that group. So basic requirements to be a nurse informatics, of course, you want to have your bachelor's degree in nursing, but I would say that we have people currently that don't have their BSN but are informatics. But this is going to limit you. Of course, you want to become a leader. You don't want to stay on the same spot. But basic things, you want to have your bachelor's. You want to have that I mentioned about passion. So that affinity for obtaining, analyzing, and strategizing about data. Good thing about nursing in the US is it's not like in I would say Nigeria where you are posted to this unit and maybe after a year they post you out. For in my case, for instance, I was working in operating theater in UCH, and then they were like, okay, this girl is too vocal for us. Let's take her to neuro surgical units. But the good thing about nursing in US is you go where your passion is. So I train a lot of nursing students, and then they'll be like, okay, I want to actually do pediatrics. And they're able to get in there. You know what happens? You are fulfilled because you are where you like. So for you to want to go into nursing informatics, you have to, like, when you see these figures, you're thinking that, okay, what can I do with these figures? How can I make things better? Okay, people are struggling with moving from here to here. How can I make this better? I remember when we were in UCH, we had the phones that we could use to call, but people would still walk over to the floor. I was like, we have this technology. We can always make phone calls. We can actually even give reports over the phone rather than wasting time. We want efficiency. So you have to have that passion for seeing a problem and be like, okay, what can I do to solve this? What can I do to make the workflow for nursing better? So you have to also have a master's degree, but you don't have to. Master's degree helps to stand you out. Okay, so you have like candidates that are applying for that position. Having a master's degree may stand you out, but I will not deceive you. A lot of times in the US, they count experience over advanced education. They count experience, they count certification. And so, but of course, master's degree will always stand you out, because in my case, I would say that would what stood me out, because I'm just coming from bloody Nigerian. You just want to come get informatics job here. So that was what part of what stood me out. Okay, someone is raising a hand. I hope maybe is she hearing me well?
Linda Elekalachi, do you have any question? Okay, I think she didn't know when she raised her hand. We will take question at the end of the program, okay? So I will lower your hand now. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. So I'm going down. It says experience and strong understanding of working in a clinical setting. So your nursing experience is also very vital. So, you cannot just go into what you don't know. A lot of this is why they started bringing nursing into informatics, because when they started using electronic health record, it was the IT guys that were working on it, but they don't understand. You can tell them, oh, we need this. They don't know the urgency of it, or they are designing a form. They don't know that maybe a nurse has to perform assessments before planning. So they need your clinical experience to be able to bridge that gap between IT and clinical. So you also have to have understanding of medical economics. A lot of things, what actually drives US to move forward in electronic health record is reimbursement. Okay, so if they provide a care for a patient, they won't get paid. They have to actually prove that they performed that care. So now you want to, as an informatics, you want to capture those peculiar things that you do for your patient. So that is why nurses are not well paid in Nigeria, because it's really hard for us to quantify what we do. The doctors can say, okay, I did an assessment for this patient, I made a diagnosis, I prescribed. But those vital things that we do, we cannot actually capture it. So you have to know what medical economics is all about. They are paying for length of stay, they are paying for your skills as a nurse. And those are the things that drive up the pay of nurses in Nigeria, in the US. So that you have to understand what the basic of medical economics, and you also have to have a strong project management skills. When if you really want to get a job here in the US, we talk, myself and my husband, we play around now. We'll be like, you have to really package your CV, your resume, as the case may be. So a lot of these things we do it, but we don't actually know that we do it. So project management. So Decency actually has a project going on, is managing it, bringing people together. A lot of you have planned for maybe your wedding, you have planned for your birthdays. Those are projects, bringing people together, budgeting, organizing, and planning. And then they will ask you and you say, oh, I don't have project management skills. My people, you have project management skills. So those are some of the things that in nurse informatics would have. And you also have to have strong interpersonal skills, which is, of course, a skill for nursing. At the same time, you want to have technical skills. You want to be able to adapt to technologies. A lot of things, like the gap between developed countries and developing countries is wide. Like, they are not stopping. So I currently, in my role, I'm a clinical informatics analyst. I support emergency department. So like, I'm constantly checking every day, because people are coming up with ideas. People are coming up with new technology, and it'll be like, okay, this is not the way we do this. You have to have that strong, you have to be able to adapt. So I'm seeing the information, I'm passing it over to my manager, to emergency department management. I'm saying, okay, this is the way we have to do things now. Because if you don't do it the right way, it will affect patient safety and outcome, and it's going to also affect the reimbursement. That is, we have this insurance that pay the hospital. If the hospital is not meeting up the quality that they should make, they won't get paid. For instance, in Nigeria, a patient may come in and then they'll develop pressure, so the relatives will still have to be paying for material. But here in the US, if the patient comes into the hospital and develops pressure sore, the hospital is actually going to pay for the length of stay, for the treatment for that patient. Even in surgery, if there's a comeback, maybe a patient has to come back to the hospital, or there's surgical site infection, it is not the patient that is going to pay. It is not insurance that is going to pay. It is the hospital that is going to pay. So that is why the hospital needs to step up their game. So if they say, okay, there is a new evidence-based research that will help patients not to have pressure sore, or there's a technology, something that the patient can press, and then it will move them in bed. What do you think? The hospital will want to acquire that technology so that it will make care better, it will make improve patient quality and outcome. So at the same time, you also want to have leadership experience to in this role as a nurse informatics. Like I said, we are like a liaison between clinicals and IT. So if you don't have that leadership quality in you, you won't be able to bring people together. I've learned a lot in my job. Like, okay, I'll tell decency that I'm on call, so I can just take calls, even if I'm not the one to solve that issue. I'll have to call. Okay, I had issue with lab, for instance, but I'm not a lab person. I had to find out who is working in lab to help solve the situation. And if it turns out it had something to do with server, I had to call the person on the server. We had like 4 people on a phone call. So you have to be able to coordinate. And these are the things that we learned in management in nursing schools. So sometimes we have this inside of us, but we just need that opportunity to express it. So those are the requirements that some of the requirements for a nurse informatics. Another problem with this is informatics, because it is a growing specialty, is job title. A lot of people are looking for a job and they just type nurse informatics. So this is one of the things I also learned from my group. They're like, okay, US people have monotony of their business. You know, they can decide to give it a name that they want to give it to. Even in my role, I said I'm a clinical informatics analyst. The person sitting beside me is just an application analyst. So there are different job titles. So now if you're looking for a job and you're just putting nurse informatics and you don't see enough job search. So that is why you have to be conversant with the job title. So because the specialty is still growing, so some hospitals just have their electronic health record running, so it's difficult for them to just place it. So these are the different job titles. I will not waste time on this slide. And of course, roles and responsibilities. I've mentioned some of these points. You have to be able to understand and communicate. Well, when I started the job, the first time I was on call, I would say, okay, so we have different people that manage different applications. Like I said, I support emergency departments. I have someone that supports operating room. I thought that was what I would be, but you know, I have someone that supports ancillary services, the respiratory therapies, and physical therapy. So if I have a ticket coming in, for instance, maybe an operating room nurse is saying that they can't chart something. My first call, I will just call the person that is in charge of operating room, and then she'll be like, okay, so give me more information about it. So you have to be able to understand, okay, so what is this person's problem? What is the issue that the person actually wants? So a lot of times, I mean, it's difficult to communicate. You would, when you're in this type of position, you will know how challenging it is to communicate. So you have to find out a lot of information. So because you don't actually have to go in to be with the patient, a lot of conversation we do is over the phone or messages. So you have to be able to understand and communicate why in everything we're doing. So as I said here about new processes. So if you find out that there's a new technology, for instance, you have to fully understand it and you have to communicate it. You have to be able to implement new process. So that is having that project management skills. You have to be able to assess. You have to be able to plan. So a lot of things, times you're communicating with stakeholders, the people that are in charge. You're also communicating with the vendors. So you have to be able to know these processes and those are the things that nurse informatics does. You have to be able to validate data quality, even quality. Nursing informatics, the field of informatics, I found out that it is as wide, it has its own subspecialty. For instance, like I said, even though I support emergency department, I still have members of my team that write rules. I still have people that are architects. So they're actually architects, people that actually build. There are people that run queries, that do programming. There are people that do coding. There are people that are like liaison. They just say, okay, people want to improve this process and they'll bring it to the person that built. So some people do data quality. So we have some people that audit charts. So those subspecialties are still under informatics as well. You also have to be able to drive application of technologies and electronic health records, computerized provider order entry. I don't want to bore you with all the jargon, so I'm just gonna go basic. So basic thing, you want to bridge that gap between clinical and technical. I mentioned earlier that the people in IT were the ones designing this form, but it wasn't improving workflow. So that's why this career has even opened for nurses, because they really want nursing to come in and be able to feel what other people are feeling. So when I came newly, I was supposed to design a form, and that my preceptor was just like, Mo, I need you to put on your nurse's cap. So you're in this shoe, what would you prefer? So I have some forms that were just designed and they were not, maybe you have to click yes here, and then they were not the same sizes. So I was just like, if I'm a nurse and I see this form, I will not want to fill it. So it's as little as, okay, you're filling a paper form, for instance, and you have those, and you have maybe a bold font somewhere that is 10, and you have another one that is 14. People in IT, they just want to get the job done. But when you come in as a nurse, you come in from the workflow perspective, and you're going to be like, okay, is this what I would really want as a nurse? Do I want to keep clicking? So those are some of the things that nurse informatics does. They just want to make life easier for nurses. We don't want the people to be burdened by electronic health record. A lot of nurses actually resigned when the change came. Like, okay, I mean, all those old nurses, they were like, there's no way I'm going to cope with computers. So we actually want to make it better for people not to leave. I mentioned about medical economics. You have to be able to create technology. You have to be creative. For instance, my chief informatics officer, he just resigned one day. It was just like, US is at will employment. You can just wake up one day and say like, I'm not coming to work again. And at the same time, your employer can just be like, you're fired, and that is it. So my CIO just left and he started his own technology company. So as little as, people look at the needs of people, the way you're thinking of it. So maybe you're, like I would say in the kitchen, for instance, maybe they find out that you spend a lot of time in the kitchen because you have to chop things. And then people come up with the idea of bringing things that can help you to chop things faster, or you can just go to the store and pick up chopped salad. So as an informatics person, you have to always be thinking, how can I create technology? How can I make things easier for people? You also have to be able to amplify the voice of end user. So sometimes we have changes. People want something to happen. And then the people at the head, the management, we think, okay, this is not really needed. But as an informatics, you're advocating for them because you know that they really need this to be done. So let's say we have tickets that we work on. We have low, medium, and high priority. As an informatics person, you have to decide, is this low, medium, or high? Is this impacting patient care? So those are the things that you we do as an informatics. You have to, we also advocate for impactful innovation and patient safety. Um, so for instance, I took up one application. So that for that application, nurses can actually make their schedule. So a lot, we want staff not to leave. We don't want, because there's so much shortage of nurses. So it's not that they'll just tell you, oh, you are on morning shift today, you are afternoon shift. You have opportunity to pick up your shift and say, okay, I only want to work Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I only want to work weekends. So you can self-schedule yourself. So we have that application, which I'm currently supporting. A lot of nurses are complaining about it. And I found out that there's actually a mobile, we can actually get a mobile piece to that application, even though it's going to cost the hospital more, but they're going to get staff satisfaction. So I'm currently working on that project. So those are the things that we do as the nurse informatics. You want to make life easier for nurses, even though it's going to come at a cost, but you have to be able to defend that, okay, so if you're thinking of the cost of purchasing this mobile application, think of the cost of nurses not being satisfied and then leaving. So when the hospital is having increased staff turnover, they have to spend more in recruiting nurses. So those are the things that we have to balance together. And that's why I said the field of informatics, it is doable, but you actually have to have that drive. I have to have high intellect, and you have to have information at your disposal to be able to present to yourself your project. I mentioned about improving workflow and manage data infrastructures. Where I worked before this, my recent job, and that is when I developed interest in informatics. So when I got there, we were using one health record because things changes, and then maybe a marketer is able to come and present to the hospital that, oh, this my record or this my application is better off. I can give you this free. So the hospital will always want to change, of course. Everyone wants to cut costs, and then when they see they are getting the same or more quality. So we actually changed our electronic health record. And a lot of people were complaining they had days and days of training. And I'm just like, this is easy. Even though I've not actually used health record before, but this is what I like. I mean, electronic health record. And then I was able to be visible. So that is another thing that you want to do as a nurse. If you are towing this career path, you want to be visible. Even we have people that don't have masters, but they call them super users. So super users are people that they train specially, and they put them on the units to be training other people. So you are actually a master. So I put up myself as a super user. The first day we went live, we started using that electronic health record. I was a circulating nurse. I worked in the OR. I was able to chart everything, and then I finished on time. I printed my chart. They were like, "Oh, Mo, we're gonna use it to train people," because people were complaining. And then when they see this Black person that just came less than a year ago and is already using it, so you want to be an influence to people. And that was where I developed that interest as well. And those are some of the things I developed. I discussed during my interview with my current job. So I was able to help people. So you want to improve workflow. So I was talking about that hospital, the smaller hospital. So when I bring patients out of the operating room and I take them to recovery room, the nurses are struggling because the computer is not in the room that they are receiving the patient. So they will have to, and they have to click the time that the patient got to package. So a lot of times I'll be like, okay, I'm bringing in a patient. When I bring in the patient, they're on their computer and be like, okay, I'm trying to log in. I'm trying to put the patient has arrived in recovery. That is not improving workflow. And I thought about it. Okay, so what if we have an iPad and the nurses can actually have that iPad and chat, or we have actual computers in the room. So bigger hospitals like where I am now, they have computers in the room because you don't want to write everything on paper and then go back to start writing it in the on the computer. So those are the things that help to improve workflow. And people will always bring ideas. Or when I go to the unit, to the I do rounding to the floor, and I'm able to find out, okay, this is not working well. So you always want to improve workflow for nurses and managing data infrastructure, like I mentioned earlier about the information that come and where the information is being stored. So that's like another high level of informatics. So as informatics, you want skills, right? Um, Another thing you want to do in this profession, I mean, in life, you want to have a mentor. You want to have someone that has been in this field. So when I was during my um, master's program, I was looking for a preceptor, someone that would I mean during, like, we call it practicum, just like when you have clinicals. So I met a good number of people, good developed good relationship. It was very hard to get people. So I went on Facebook, I went on LinkedIn. I was like, I'm very desperate. Please help me, because it's difficult to get preceptors. Because I had a preceptor that I was supposed to use, but apparently she didn't have the master's, so the university will not approve of her. So for skills, so I was discussing with one of my friends that I met, and she was telling me a lot of Nigerians come to US. I mean, they say, okay, IT is very good, is well paid. They want to go into IT, and they'll just go and do a course in IT, which is good. But there are certain skills that they're actually looking for when you get to that job. Computer skills, for instance, you have to be able to organize yourself. I'm just learning that Excel can do a whole bunch of stuff. It's actually a course on its own. So you have to know how to do your Excel. You have to know how to communicate, to send emails. You have to be able to organize yourself. So I got into the job. I found out that I'm learning a lot of things and you cannot. So I have a OneNote. So that's why I put MS, Microsoft Office Suite. So it has all those Excel, PowerPoint, Microsoft Word, which we're familiar with. So you have to know this, how to use these computer skills, even as little as typing. I'm not good. I see my coworker when she's sending email, when she's communicating, but me, I'm still, struggling in it. So these are some of the things that you need as an informatics, even as a nurse too. You have to know these typing skills. I did not really take it serious when Avant told us to go through that typing class, but now I'm suffering for it. You have to have basic computer skills. And she tells me that a lot of Nigerians come and they do those courses, but they don't have the basic skills, which you actually want in this profession, in this specialty. You also have to have informatics knowledge, the knowledge of the things that I've discussed earlier on. You want to know how technology is affecting clinical. You want to know that relationship. You also want to have informatics skills. Some of these skills are peculiar to nursing, like interpersonal skills, problem solving, programming. So there are levels to programming, but it's not you don't you want to know it. You want to have these skills as an informatics. You want to be able to communicate. Communication is very, very essential. You want to communicate. You want to have skills about the health data system. So the healthcare system here in the US is very complex. You really want to know this, have these skills to be able, and it's not something that you will know in a day. There's always, always, always room for improvement. So these are some of the statistics for people that may be wondering, like, what is the prospect? Because of course you want to know the prospect before you actually go into the role, the specialty. Apart from passion, we also need money, right? We also want to know if this job is sustainable. So I have some statistics over there. It says 68% of informatics. So HIMSS is Health Information Management System. So they're actually like an association. for nursing. I am part of that association. So you want to, these are the places where you can also network. You can meet people, you can get jobs, you can get contracts. You want to be visible. You want people to see you and know that you're working. So I'm used to the Nigerian way of, oh, I don't want to do eye service. I don't want people to, I just want to do my work and go. But I found out it will not work. Even in nursing, in the US, you have to constantly talk like, okay, I'm going into my patient's room right now. Oh, I just did this for my patient, but we're just used to doing our task and getting our jobs done. But if you don't say it out, they won't know that you're actually doing it. When I was working in the OR, I had one lady, because sometimes we have nurses that float, and then she will come back to the director's table and be saying, oh, I helped Mo to position the patient. I went to room 2, I helped them. But when I'm floating, I don't even have time to stand and be talking about what I'm doing. I'm actually doing. But you know what? They will tell you she's actually working more than you. So you really have to be talking. I found out in a hard way. Like, I would think, is this really supposed to be a project, like something that I can just get done? And then you see people really making it a big deal. So those are some of the things that are happening in the US. You have to be able to package yourself. And especially if you are here in this field, informatics, you have to be able to, make, organize whatever it is that you're doing. So there's been a rise in informatics. Informatics is here to stay, and it is never going to go. As far as there's evolving technology, informatics is here to stay. So right now, there's informatics, like I said, is very broad. There is a high opportunity for people that are auditing charts, people that are abstracting data, because you know what? I mentioned earlier that insurance and Medicare, people paying for health, they actually want to see what you're doing for that patient. So now there is there's a high vacancy, job opportunity for people that have good eyes, that they can say, okay, this is what we did for this patient. This is because you know what, a patient can spend months in the hospital, and the hospital will get $0 for that patient if they cannot actually prove that they cared for the patient in an evidence-based manner. So that is why they need informatics to be able to extract data. And that's why they need nurses right now, because someone that is not in the nursing profession will not know what should be done. So they're actually going to be able to point out and be like, okay, this patient came with a temperature of this. Did you test the patient for sepsis? This patient came in with these symptoms. What do you think the diagnosis should be? And a lot of times the doctors don't even have time to do all those thinking. So they need informatics nurses to do all those thinking for them, and they'll be like, okay, don't you think this patient should have this diagnosis as well? And then they'll be able to respond. So they talked about education. We have some hospitals that would actually, we have different electronic health record systems. So we have some hospitals that are ready to train you. We have some hospitals that are ready to reimburse you for tuition. For instance, my hospital, if you're ready to take any certification course in nursing, they are able to, they are ready to pay that money. So those are some of the opportunities you want to know. But of course, if you don't apply, they won't come to you and say, okay, we want to pay for your exam. That is one thing about US. You have to get that information. If you don't know it, nobody's going to come to you and say, oh, you need to have this. So, and the sky is the starting point for informatics. I mean, for any career path you decide to go. So for informatics, you can rise as far as becoming the chief nursing informatics officer. You can have your own technology. If you are more, so informatics is a liaison between clinical and technology. So there are some people that tilt more towards clinicals. There are some that are in the middle, and there are some that tilt towards technology. So if I decide I want to go towards technology, I can move. So it's a continuum. So it can actually move towards technology and be doing more of the tech stuff. or you can decide to be in a clinical and be telling the technology people how to design a form. So I want you to take home today that nursing informatics is actually a continuum which you can move through. And that's the references there. If you have any questions, the floor is open. Thank you very much for your time.
Wow, wow, wow. Thank you so, so much. Thank you, Modube. Can everybody hear me? Wow, this is awesome. I am so, so, so excited and glad that I witnessed this program. I'm just been smiling from molar to molar. All of you are just leaving OR. So what I want to ask is how much are you guys going to pay me for me to leave my lovely OR to join nursing informatics? That's my first number one question. And I have other things to say and other questions to ask, but how much is the starting salary for someone who have gone to the heights that you've gone and is now working as a nurse informaticist?
Okay. For pay, you know, a lot of things determine pay. Where you live in the US determines the pay. So when I got in, I was trying to negotiate for higher pay. So they won't just want to pay you what you want, of course, but they are, you know, like I said, in the US, everything is organized. They will do market survey. They will see if they have competition. So like where I am, it's the major hospital system in that place. So they're able to just be like, okay, we'll pay you this. Like people that are living in bigger cities, for instance, they will get a higher pay. So are you looking for a figure or range?
You can give me a range. Give me a range in the maybe in per annum or something like that.
Okay. So at the same time, when we're talking about salary, a lot of companies will tell you we're going to pay you this. And then when you look at the deductibles, maybe their insurance, you're paying a lot on insurance, you're paying a lot on. So for informatics, I would say the starting salary would be between 37 and 42 per hour, if you're basing it per hour.
Okay.
But we're actually salaried.
Okay. So you guys are salaried. It's not, you guys are not paid per hour. You're salaried, right?
Yeah.
Oh, good, good.
Breakdown. I am salaried, but it's not, I mean, you know, there's a lot of hospitals and organizations. So we have some organizations that are not salary. And
Okay.
I also take call pay.
Okay.
So I'm on call, I get paid for call. But I wouldn't say never, I don't have to go into I don't have to go in except there's some life threatening thing that you know, and that's the good thing. People will always have work around because we've always been charting on paper before electronic health record. So, and this job gives me the flexibility I want. Oh
yeah,
God.
I was coming to that. But I wanted us to get this motivation squared out first, you know. So, in the area of salary, you said would you say that you took a pay cut moving from OR to nursing informatics?
Okay, so I would not say I took a pay cut because I moved from agency to this job.
Okay. I got your point.
Yeah, I would say I took a pay cut, but I see a lot of people that say they took a pay cut. But you know what? The important thing is getting your foot in the door because it's hard for people to get into the door. So when you have like 1 year experience, you are hot cake. I have people that tell my organization they're leaving because they get maybe a job. Yeah. And then they'll negotiate their price or they'll tell them, okay, work from home. We'll pay you or even still pay you more.
They do that in my hospital too. Like if you want to pay raise, you just say I'm leaving and they'll call you to the office and start negotiating.
So that's the good thing about US, you know.
Yeah. Okay, now
I didn't negotiate very well when I got this job. So
yeah, because it looks to you like you're still begging to, but by the time you're like 2-3 years into the job, you'll be able to like say
positive feedback and they know your work.
Exactly. Exactly. So if you're not learning something today, just learn that there is a process. Everything has a process. So as for the pay, you're going to be able to understand the system, learn the system, get into the system, know your value. Then at that point, you will now start standing on something and say, you know what, this is the amount that I'm going to take. I'm not going to take anything less than this. Okay. That's for the pay. But I would say generally the pay is not bad considering the average that she has given us. The pay is not bad. And also, there's other things that we'll have to learn about this very particular specialty. How flexible is it? Are you able to work remotely from home?
Yes. So, like I said, informatics is very broad. In my current role, I train nurses. So that's part of the thing because when I was in Nigeria, I was a nurse tutor. I taught in a school of midwifery. And before I left UCH, I taught in the perioperative nursing school. So those are some of the perks that I was able to get this job. So currently I train nurses, I train physicians. I also train patient care assistants. I train nursing students as well. So so there are some things that I have to go physically in to do, like this training, for instance. But um, we started off when I came, they were working on a project for computer-based training, and they were halting on it. But I got in there, we started implementing that. So for trainings that I do on Mondays and Wednesdays, I don't even have to go in. I can be in the comfort of my room and assign the training to the user. So I can work remote. Um, and I'm just able to, in US, for instance, you can get called and they'll be like, the other day, decency called me. I went to work, but I got called from school, from my son's school that I was vomiting. So I had to go get him.
Yeah, I remember. How is he
And I
doing now?
thought about, yeah, he's great. And I just
Mhm.
thought that if you're on the floor, I
You
mean,
can't
if
do
you
that.
don't have a choice, yeah,
You
if you
cannot
don't
do
have a
that.
choice, but where we are you going to put, if you have 6 patients, for instance,
Mhm.
where are you going to put them?
I
Even if
used
they
to,
share it on top of your other colleagues, then
yeah, it
you
would be
are
too
not
much.
their enemy. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
you're not
I used to
their enemy
tell them that
because
once you clock in, you're locked in. You're locked in, you
yes,
can't leave. You have to beg to leave.
so
Yeah.
that's the flexibility that I like about the job. And I also feel fulfilled when people have problem and I'm able to solve it. I mean, that's a
Exactly.
good thing about nursing too. You're caring for people.
Mm-hmm.
But when people have been like, I'm struggling, how do I go about this? And then you get that call and be like, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
I get that fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
So I can work from home. The other day, I traveled with my family. I was in the car. I was walking. We went to Dallas. So that's the flexibility that I can enjoy
Okay,
there.
great,
And
great. All right, then another thing is, most of my viewers, most of the people watching us are nurses. They are ladies, they are women, they have husbands. So do you think that this very particular specialty is something that their husbands can leverage on easily when they immigrate to the United States?
absolutely. So I
So,
have, yeah, I have a friend's husband that is not a nurse. He was telling me about this. So he's in school for medical coding, which
mhm,
is a little bit part of informatics. So it's not like coding, like
coding,
coding is,
coding.
yeah, coding is just auditing charts.
Mhm.
So because everything is organized, you have to find out. So this is a specialty that they can leverage on as well. And then you can have your office spaces. Your husband is beside you. And
Yeah. I don't think
you're
they will
both
like that.
pressing the computer. So it's gonna be fun. And
Yeah.
these days you want to have time for your children as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So I
And
can work
also,
remote, and you can. They are very free. I don't have to hide that I have my kid. I mean, I can be in a meeting and hold my child. Like, okay, this is the child I came up for, as long
mhm,
as you get the job done. So
yeah, right, right. Okay, now, when we have such situation that maybe a spouse want to get into the nursing informatics, what is the first thing to do?
if
Like somebody who didn't do anything medical.
you didn't do anything medical.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, that is one medical coding that I talked about. There
Mm-hmm.
are different courses too. I mean, it won't be nursing informatics, of course, because you have to be a nurse before you can be a nurse informatics. But if they actually want to be, I have my next door neighbor. He was a banker in Nigeria. He has done his nursing. He started did 1 year LVN. He's
Mm-hmm.
now doing his RN, and he's actually interested in becoming nursing informatics. Like he's all about networking and meeting people. We're discussing a few days ago, and he told me that what in fact he has bought computers in the home. You know, faith now. He has got
Mm-hmm.
computers ready to arrange his remote nursing workstation. So
Mm-hmm.
they can actually be that if you want to be a nurse informatics, you can start from there. All you need is just about 1 or 2 years experience. So like this person, he did his LVN 1 year, he's continuing his nursing, but he's working through. So before he actually finishes his RN, he already has 1 year experience as a nurse.
Good.
So
Good.
it just needs like maybe 1 or more years. And if they need people, need will drive people to just want to take you. And the good thing, you can also still keep up your nursing skills. So I
Mm-hmm.
can decide I want to take 1 or 2 shifts in OR or yeah,
So you're still able to do it, but not in the same facility, right?
you can do it in the same facility. It's just going to be a
Okay.
different contract. So
Oh.
presently, I also work as a like, let me say lecturer so we can know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
We call it adjunct professor with University of Texas at Arlington. And I got that job from training um, nursing students that came to our hospital. So I trained them on EHR. And then I got that email, we have this, do you want to be an instructor? Because they would have their students come to our hospital. So I got that job separately. So I'm able to do that job, and that's the easiest job. Oh my God. So I just,
I
yeah,
know
I
you
just,
don't need to tell me about that because I know
yeah,
most of the professors that do supervise me. I'm running my master's in business administration, healthcare management, and I know that
you're
job
the
is kind
one
of
doing it. Yeah.
yes, exactly. So I know what you're talking about. But I have a lot of questions on the comment section, and I would like to just go through them just one by one. Someone is asking, is nursing informatics same as healthcare informatics?
Um, well, healthcare informatics broader, is broader than nursing informatics. So I have one of my friends that I met. She actually did a master's in health informatics,
Mhm.
healthcare informatics.
Okay.
So I mean, it's good. I know there are some challenges. I remember in Nigeria, then when I had friends going to do MPH, and they'll tell them, "Oh, once you go to MPH, you're no more a nurse." That is not
Mhm.
supposed to be right, right? So
Mhm.
one of my co-workers, he did pharmacy, he's from India, he did pharmacy, and he came to US to actually do his master's in healthcare informatics. And we work together now. They're able
Mm.
to leverage him in the area of pharmacy.
Wow. Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's
it's
good.
not the
Okay.
same. It's not the
But
same, but if you're able to get your foot in any one of those, you can grab
it's good. Okay.
it.
All right. Someone says, please, what's your advice? What advice would you give someone who isn't yet in the US, naive in computer technology, etc., but has an interest in this? What can the person do or start doing now in preparation for informatics in the near future?
Okay. So I mentioned those skills, computer skills. So you want to just lay your hand on, there are a lot of free training. For instance, maybe you want to learn how to use Excel, you can learn those things. But when you come to the US, you will not, that computer skills is also going to help you in nursing
Mhm.
because you have to have computer skills to be a nurse, to be able to navigate, to help you not to struggle. because if you are not able to chart, or you are still writing down your findings before going to the computer, it's going to delay a lot of things. America, they don't joke with their time. If you are constantly having overtime for documentation, you're going to be written up. So this is the time to start, even as basic as getting typing fast. But
Yes.
getting a computer and be looking through it and be typing through it.
Yeah,
So
that's
please
great.
start.
All right. Thank you so much, Modupe. Somebody is saying, hello, Modupe. Thank you for this session. What was your experience in UK? Did you do similar role in UK? And I would add to that, how would you compare UK nursing and then the US nursing experience?
Okay.
You've seen it all. You've seen it in Nigeria, you've seen it in UK, you've seen it in the US. So tell us, how is it like?
Yeah. So I didn't do similar role in UK. So UK, it's a lot. But I was supposed to work in the OR, but I ended up in the recovery, which was fine. I worked in recovery room, and before we could take OSCE too. OSCE is like their practical exam. I worked in med surg floor. So after that, yeah, I worked in day surgery. So I just worked in different places, and I also had my side job in UK too. I worked in a rehabilitation center. But those are the things that prepared me for this job. I mean, I saw health record, and UK, it wasn't really advanced then. It was more of hybrid. We still use paper and electronic health record. But you know what? Those are some of the things that I put in my resume, my CV, because I was able to, as an international nurse, to be able to adapt easily and to be able to um, help people to get on. So I worked as a nurse there. I didn't work as an informatics, but that was
Okay.
what exposed me to electronic health record.
Okay, then I have another question. It says, please, what is the duration for the nursing informatics? You wanted to say
Okay.
something?
Yeah, so I'm going to compare UK nursing and US. So
Yeah.
UK nursing is kind of like limiting. I would say in the US, there's a lot of autonomy for nurses. You can make decisions. You have processes that help you to make decisions. You have policy in place that can help you to make decisions. For instance, maybe you find out that a patient cannot eat, or a patient cannot swallow, you can decide to place that patient on NPO. So that is the difference in UK. You still have a lot of dependency on physician there, and there isn't a lot of room for nurses to grow. And the pay as well is everything is confined. In US, there's a lot of private
Opportunity.
entities, and it drives competition.
Yeah.
But UK is just NHS or private.
Mm.
So if NHS has a pay scale, so you just stay at that pay scale if you're a band 5 nurse, for instance. And so it's limiting. But of course, it's better than Nigeria now.
Well, all those people asking me, should I go to UK or should I come to US? Please, you have heard it from the horse's mouth. She has seen it all. So she's been to the UK and she's been to the US, and then she's telling you that, uh, being that she went to the UK and also started her process to come over to the US, there's something there. In fact, I know most of my candidates now that are in the UK, all of them are trying to come over to the US, okay? So, but if you have the opportunity to go to the UK and it's going to work out faster, one thing is that it's faster. There's not going to delay you at any point. So you can actually, connect your dots from there. You can go to the UK and still continue your process and then come over to the US, as your final destination. Some people still come to the US and be like, oh, I want to go to Canada. Oh, I want to go to Australia. So it's all what you want. Okay. But I know that most people who come here end up staying here and liking here. All right. So, and then this question about what the duration of the course, the duration of the informatics course.
Well, it depends on your school. So you have all that information before you start. Mine was um it was like 20 months.
Okay, did you challenge your courses? Because some programs here in the US, they tell you how many courses you have to do.
Yeah.
If you want to do it in 6 months, that's fine. If you want to do it in 3 or 4 years, that's fine. So it depends
So
on
that's
how.
why I said it depends on the school and you have information. In my own case, for instance, I had some weeks of delay because it was supposed to be 18 months or 20 months, I can't remember. But I was looking for a preceptor
Okay.
and it was hard. I didn't know like people already got their preceptor like a year before, and that's the information I didn't get. So I was late to get a preceptor, and maybe the course starts every 2 weeks, so you have to wait even if you find a preceptor. You find a preceptor, the hospital has to accept you. So that's why it took me that. I think DCU have their courses every 8 weeks, but we have some schools that you can combine your courses and
So
finish it.
let me just tell my viewers also. See, Modupe here is coming here as somebody who is presenting this information to us, and also there's another thing, another gain from this having her in this program. This is a very rare program, a very rare specialty in nursing. And if you decide to go into this specialty, you have a preceptor. She struggled to find a preceptor. But right here, I believe being free to give us that information, if I'm not mistaken, Modube, I believe you'll be also free to be the preceptor of anyone here that wants to go into nursing informatics, right?
Yeah, the
Okay.
person I got eventually, that woman is an angel. She's
Wow.
white. A lot of times I would think, am I paying her? Like I'm not paying her. And she was very committed. And then when I talked to her, I'm like, how can I pay you? She was just like, just pay it forward, you
Wow.
know?
Wow. Just pay it forward. You see, that means just do it for somebody else. And well, that is so touching, honestly. That's nice. That's nice. Okay, let me
And
go
then
forward before I get so emotional. Okay, so that's what she's doing now. She's paying it forward. So what's the nursing informatics training like, and what is the school fees like? Like, how much do you pay for the program? I like
okay,
those people that are asking questions. You guys are asking very intelligent questions. Sorry, I just want to say your questions are straight to the point and very intelligent. I like it. Thank you so much for bringing this up. I couldn't have thought about them because I wrote down some questions, but I didn't go to the area you're going to right now. So if you think of any other thing that you want to ask, please bring it on. Okay, go ahead.
so um in the US, I mean, different schools have their own modality of training. The training that I had my courses every 8 weeks, and it required me writing papers. Oh my God, I wrote papers.
Yeah, you're right. You write papers in
Ah,
GCU.
oh my God, I wrote papers. And I didn't know I could do all those things. I mean, working and then schooling, and then you have papers that is due. If you don't turn it in, you will get your um your mark will be deducted. So it was more of writing papers, doing research, and those are the things that will prepare you for the job. And a lot of times it was more of self-learning. Those lecturers were just facilitators. It's not
Yeah.
like they would sit down and be teaching you. So one other thing about America is they develop that independence in you. So you're actually doing a lot of self-learning. And because you know that you need to know this because you want to apply it is what it will drive you to be committed to that training. And for tuition, I paid about $22,000.
Wow.
But like I said, in America, you can be what you want to be.
Exactly.
I got a student loan
Mm-hmm.
to do that, so which is available. If
Mm-hmm.
I needed more, I would get it.
Still
So I
get
got a student loan, but to the glory of God,
of the Almighty God. Yes, me too.
I even, I even paid off the student loan before
The
the course
forgiveness
ended.
came.
Yeah, I mean, like
Okay.
there and there, I was paying. Maybe I get extra shift, pay 1,000. If I'm paying 1,000 a month within 22 months, I pay it off.
So I'm one of those beneficiaries of the student loan. My BSM program, both me, my wife, both of us, got our loans forgiven, all of it, like almost 20 something thousand dollars. But I know the cap is $20,000, but at least $20,000 for me, $20,000 for my wife. That's a huge, huge relief, honestly.
Can I
So
come over?
yes, we're supposed to,
Bell.
we're
Use
supposed
some
to hold it.
bell.
Yeah, exactly, right. Honestly,
Yeah.
that's a huge thing, honestly.
It
So
is. It is.
sometimes things happen. Maybe it wasn't expected. Maybe I was still like thinking I was gonna pay that, but
Or
just
you don't
remembering
even
the fact,
or you don't even do it. Then you
exactly.
missed out on this. Yeah.
Exactly. Maybe I was just one of those sitting down and saying, hey, $20,000, how am I going to pay that? You know how many land I will buy in Nigeria with $20,000? If I'm thinking like that, I wouldn't have advanced my career, and then I wouldn't have still gotten the forgiveness, because the forgiveness is not for those that will get it in future, it's those that got it in the past. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. You have to always take opportunities whenever you see it. All right. So also, somebody is asking, what other certificates do you encourage us to get the foundation of nursing informatics?
Okay, so we have RN nursing informatics certification, just like you would get for OR or for any other specialty. But the thing is, you can't just go and do it. So we have requirements that you have to satisfy. And one of it is I talked about that practicum that I did. So you have to have 200 hours of practicum to be able to sit for that certification. Otherwise, you can also use your work experience. So let's say you're in a hospital that they need someone. Sometimes needs arise. A lot of people in informatics today, it was when that specialty started and a lot of people didn't want to go into it. They
Mhm.
just went into it. So once you start working, you can claim those hours and be able to apply. Apart from nursing informatics, we also have that body that I talked about, the HIMSS. They also offer certification. We also have some other certification courses that you can do and will be applicable. So let's say you just find out certification on maybe quality or data abstraction, and you get it. In addition to your nursing, it could help you to get a job in informatics.
Okay, good. So somebody is actually, asking if this very nursing informatics requires mathematical skills. Does it does it deal with a lot of calculations? I guess not, but let's hear from you.
Yeah, so it depends on the field you are. I would say, like in my current role, apart from normal nursing calculation, it's
Mhm.
not like it's math. You need strong mathematics. So even
Okay.
if you are in data, for instance, there's a lot of software. All you need to do is get us those data. So things that are very much easier. You're not going to be calculating or so.
Okay. All right. And also, there's someone in the US right now that will be coming over to in the UK right now, will be coming over to the US in a few months. He's asking if you can give a name of the school where you went to and how to start applying, because he's very interested.
I went to Grand Canyon University. It's in Phoenix, Arizona. The good thing about that school is you don't have to struggle with transcripts from your school
Mhm.
or your transcript evaluation. So they already have a body that does the evaluation for them. So that's one plus. And that's the school I went to. And they're very supportive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. So Grand Canyon is the school. You can go online and then go to the go to their website and then apply. I think you also have the ability to request a enrollment counselor. So I know a lot of Nigerians are working in that school. They actually like finish program like us and they got a job, a part-time job in Grand Canyon and so many other universities. So let me give you a secret. If you're a BSN nurse and you come over here, just try and do your master's, and you can be working your normal maybe 7 to 3 job, and then you can enroll to become an associate professor in one of the universities, and you start teaching. And not that you're teaching like you're going to stand in front of the class to start teaching them. You just, preview their works, their assignments. You have a guideline, you have rubrics that guides you to mark their assignment. Once you're able to score them, you submit their scores. That's it. And then you get paid in 2 places. So there are some of the ways. Soft work is not working hard. It's not coming here to kill yourself. I'm also advising you, you don't have to kill yourself to make this money. You have to just work smart, get information. As many information as you will get. When you get over here, those information will start making way for you. Honestly, that's just what people do. So advance your career whenever you have the opportunity to, and then you will leverage on that advancement to increase your financial base. Okay, so somebody is also asking, kindly avail me the opportunity to be, I feel I found the right specialty that will help. Okay, so this person is actually saying that she has found the right specialty that will harness her computer skill and give her time to care for her young family. She's also very thankful. There's a lot of thank yous on the comment section. I was just skipping that, but everybody is so excited that you came on board with us today, and we are so happy. I know you didn't exhaust everything, but I know maybe when next we have another opportunity, we will still call you with another topic that still borders on nursing informatics, and we believe you'll be able to give us a listening here. Somebody is saying he's in Nigeria. How can she start? So go, like I said, go onto the GCU. There are so many universities, but you have to find out which one. GCU is not paying Decency Academy to do this advert, okay? So it's not a paid advert, but because Modupe went there, we are thinking it's going to be a good place where you can go through and then you get support, maybe from Modupe or other Nigerians that have gone through the school. So somebody said, please, boss, can someone who is still striving, serving contract, be able to further higher education? Yes, of course. Contract does not stop you from advancing your career. In fact, it's also one of the things that I advise, that people who are on contract will use that opportunity to advance their career, so that it won't be as if you're stagnant in one place, you're not making money and all that. Just advance your career so that by the time you come out of your contract, you're ready to roll and make the biggest of money or increase your finances. Okay, so I think that's the end of all the questions that we have for today. I don't know if there's any other question, but at this point, I would just like to say a very big thank you to Modupe Dupsi Kandi. Dupsi Kandi, like we used to call her in our group. Dupsi Kandi, thank you so much for coming on board with us. It's not easy to take your 2 hours there. In fact, if we are meant to pay you, I don't think I'll be able to pay you for coming here and spending and sharing this information with us. But I just want to say thank you, and thank you. And regards to your family, your lovely family, I just want to let everybody in the house. I want you to appreciate Dupsi Kandi. She has told us everything about herself without withholding any information. You've seen how she traveled from Nigeria to the UK, from the UK to the US. Now in the US, she moved from the OR and into nursing informatics, and also an associate professor in one of the universities here in the US. So these are all things that she got not in a day. It's not like blood money. She suffered for it. She went through the thick and thin, and she was going through areas and specialties that people have not gone through before. Like, some of the people who are in our EAG group, we have a group we call EAG for Nigerians who immigrated to the US. So those people who are there, like, try to follow the steps of other people that have gone through a specialty, and they find it easy because they find resources, they find materials, they ask questions, and they're able to get answers. But here is somebody who is a kind of a pioneer. She went through a road that has never been walked through or walked by anyone in our group, and she's here to share the information. I really appreciate you for doing that, Modupe. I just want to say a big thank you to you. And everybody in the group is also saying thank you in the comment section. So at this point, you can get through, you can unmute yourself, and then